like dreading because I was like, oh my God, I only have this many more days that I can make this video happen or that I can wear a uniform to this base. And
hello, ladies. Honey here yet?
Yeah, I'm here.
Abby here?
Yeah.
Okay, honey, Abby. Abby. Esty? Sandberg? No? Rena? Rena's there. Sophie? No, Sophie.
I'm here. I don't know if you got me.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I didn't get to your class yet, so I'm about to move to your class.
Oh, I didn't know it was going by classes.
Okay. Yeah, I was here. I saw Dina. Natalie, yeah. Megan here. Oh, Esty.
Yeah, sorry, my mic was off.
Okay. Jen, Elizabeth, I saw, I think. Yeah. And Victoria. Victoria's here. Is Victoria here?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Nancy here? No.
She's here.
She's here. I think her Wi-Fi is not working.
Okay. Avi Bozen?
Yeah.
Rachel? I think I saw Shayna and Rachel.
Yeah, I'm here.
I saw. Hi. Vanessa, Ruthie. Is Ruthie here? Somebody see Ruthie? No? I'm about to mark her tardy. If you see her, tell me she's here. Okay, you heard assembly. All right. Rabbi, I'm done with attendance.
Okay.
Well, ladies, we are privileged to have Rabbi Pilichowski, who, as I think many of you, if not all of you, has been teaching in the boys' school. He's been doing one of the Gemara Shiurim, and we're very excited. At least I am very excited that he's agreed to give you the class today. So here's someone else about Pesach, and I'll turn it over to you, Rabbi.
Thanks very much. Hello, everybody. How are you guys? Don't all answer at once. Okay, we got a few people that gave thumbs up. Okay. Hope everybody's enjoying their time at home. And this time we get to do the mitzvah of keeping healthy, which is a tremendous thing, and the mitzvah of Kiddush Hashem. So those are all things. I don't know if you guys realize this, just as an aside before we get to Pesach stuff. So the mitzvah of Kiddush Hashem is usually we learn about it in a reactive way. If somebody puts a gun to your head, then what do? Right? So if it's something like, here's a gun to your head, eat this cheeseburger. So then the answer is pass the ketchup. Here's my chance. I've never had a cheeseburger before. Now I get my chance. If it's bow down to an idol, so then it's game over, right? That's it. Or at least go for the gun and give yourself a shot. But, right, that's how we always learn about Kiddush Hashem. But 99% of the time, the mitzvah of Kiddush Hashem is where you're faced in a situation where the Torah says, Chai b'hem v'lo shiyomet b'hem. You should live by the mitzvos and not die by them, where you're told to give up on certain mitzvos in order to stay alive. So we violate Shabbat in a life-threatening situation so that we're able to stay alive and do. That's a mitzvah of Kiddush Hashem. That is literally the 613 mitzvahs. That's Kiddush Hashem. Chai b'hem v'lo shiyomet b'hem. First Rambam in Hilchos Yisodei Torah and Perek A. That's Kiddush Hashem. So if any time that you're what?
Afterwards, I didn't learn it that way. Another time.
Okay, well, that's how I understood the mitzvah Kiddush Hashem is that you should give up. You should. A lot of times you have to give up on mitzvahs in order to preserve life. That's because that way you are being mekadeshim shemayim by keeping the chai b'hem, that you should live by the mitzvahs. So a lot of times if we miss out on certain mitzvahs, going to shul or the like that we're not allowed to do, right? So there's two ways of looking at it. One way of looking at it is, what can I do? I'm missing out. The other way of looking at it is saying, I never got to do Chai b'hem v'lo shiyomet b'hem before. Now here's my opportunity. Look at it with a more positive way. So there are good ways, and that comes to our Pesach Seder as well. Right? Our Pesach Seder, I usually have a very large Seder with a lot of people and a lot of guests, a lot of family. And this year it's just going to be it won't even be all my children. Just a lot of my children will be there. And the rest is going to be very small. So that's, looking at it, you can look at it, be very sad. And my Pesach Seder is going to be somewhat small, but I'm going to look at my Pesach Seder as imbued with Kiddush Hashem. That now I get to do V'chai b'hem, v'lo shiyomet b'hem. I've never gotten to do that at a Pesach Seder before. So I'm actually very, very excited about it this year because although it won't be the Pesach Seder that I imagined and hoped for, it will be good. I want to share some of what I'm going to do at my Pesach Seder with you guys. And here's what we're going to do. And if you don't like this idea, then you can say, Rabbi, I don't like this idea. Let's do something else. And then you'll be stuck because I don't really have anything else prepared. So this is what we're going to do. You ready? I'm going to give you things that you can say at your Pesach Seder, okay? That you can say at your Pesach Seder. And you'll be able to take notes, have a Dvar Torah ready, and then have 8 or 9 Dvar Torah ready. And then your parents are going to sit there and be like, oh my gosh, I send my daughter to the very best school there is. Look how well she is prepared for the Seder this year. This is incredible. They weren't even in the building, and they're so prepared. I know many of your parents, and I know this is like the way to get to their hearts. They're going to be so impressed with you. Whatever you used to get as a little kid for the Afikomen present isn't going to be anywhere near as good as what you're going to get after I give you these Divrei Torah that you're going to be able to say. You guys ready? Does everybody like this idea? Give me a thumbs up if you like this idea. Okay, so here we go. Very good. Okay, and Rabbi Gerson said that we have 3 hours together for this class. So I am really excited because I could go at least 3 hours for doing this. So you guys ready? Here we go. Okay, so what you should have is either a computer and take notes, but that only works if you also have a printer that you can later print out in your house. Okay, or you can have a piece of paper and notepad there. If you're not taking notes and you think you're going to remember this, that's crazy. Even I have my notes at the same. Okay, here we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is ask you guys, very simple, what is the reason why we're saying this whole story? We tell the story every year, over and over, every night, every morning, we talk about Yetzias Mitzrayim. Various points during the week on Shabbat during Kiddush and Shabbat during davening, we talk about Yetzias Mitzrayim. Is enough? Okay, we get it. We were slaves, right? Okay, I understand. Why are we harping on this, right? What is the point of this? Okay, why are we telling the story over and over? So the Rambam does something fascinating. The Rambam compares Seder night and telling the story, okay, compares it to Kiddush on Friday night, right? So what in the world is the comparison between the Kiddush on Friday night and telling the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim? Yes, they both have Yetzias Mitzrayim in it, but that's circular, right? So what's the idea? The idea is that we tell the story to re-experience the freedom that we had right? We want to fully experience, internalize what it is exactly we're talking about, and then we feel it. We feel the freedom. We feel first the slavery, and then we feel the freedom. And then it should get us to a point where we say, holy cow, there are actually still slaves today. Many of us don't think so because we live in America, but there are tens of millions of people who are slaves. You can go somewhere in the world today and buy another person. And guess what? We're not those people. We don't buy people, and we're not being sold as slaves. But had this whole story not taken place, we would be those people being sold. To recognize and appreciate the freedoms that we have, which are incredible. A lot of us now, this past couple of weeks, our freedoms have been somewhat limited. And we're starting to realize, whoa, being able to leave my house is a big deal, right? That's actually a very big deal. To be able to go where I want, hang out with who I want, right? So, and now you're starting to really appreciate the freedom. That should lead you to a point of great and tremendous appreciation. A simcha like you've never had before. And then be able to break out into Hallel, which is where we go with the Seder. If you think about it, right, what's the end point of the Seder? The culmination, the high point of the Seder is we say Hallel, okay? So that's what the whole point of telling the story over and over and over is. Not because we're people of history, not because we're people that we like to harp on what happened in our past. That's not what this is all about. This isn't a history lesson. It's so that you feel the freedom. You understand what you have, what you appreciate, and then you say Hallel to Hashem. So at the beginning of the Seder, that's what we come to realize. We come to realize we're going to go through this whole story, but it's not enough just to say over, okay, this is what happened, and then this is what happened, and Paro was mean because he did this, and this person was mean because they did that, and then there was this mock on that. No, it's to feel it. You got to actually feel it. That's why we do things like we eat maror, and we eat the matzah itself, right? We're doing these things that we actually feel it. Everybody got it? Okay.
What do we got to do with Shabbos?
What?
How's that the same as Shabbos? What's the comparison to Shabbos?
So why is it like Shabbos? Because Kiddush on Friday night is Shevach to Hashem. That's what it is. It's praise to Hashem. So it's the same praise. That's what we're aiming for on the Seder night, right? On the Seder night, it's the praise of Hashem. That's what we're striving for. We want to praise the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So just like Kiddush on Friday night, what are we doing? We're getting together and it's Shevach to Hashem. So too the Seder is Shevach to Hashem. It's not the story that's the Shevach. The story leads us to the point where we feel that we should praise Hashem, where we should have that Shevach. Okay? Guys got it? That's what we're doing at the Seder. Okay? Okay. Now, let me ask you this question. Somebody flip off their mic, whoever gets this first. You ready? Here we go. When did we eat matzah on Pesach? In the story, when did we eat matzah?
When we were leaving Egypt.
When we were leaving Egypt. Okay, who said that? Vanessa, was that you? Okay, Vanessa said that. Does anyone disagree with Vanessa? Vanessa says we ate matzah when we left Egypt.
Yeah, I disagree.
You disagree? You're wrong. We did. But why do you disagree?
Because we're at the Carbon Pesach.
Also, when we have Carbon Pesach, good, we had matzah. Okay. When else did we have matzah?
Weren't we eating matzah the whole time?
Yes. Excellent. I didn't see who that was, but whoever that was amazing, right? We had matzah. That's what the Egyptians gave us to eat. Halachma anya, poor man's bread. That's what you say, halachma anya. This is where you want to give that to our Torah, at halachma anya. Okay? At your Seder, you're going to be like, halachma anya, and everyone's going to give it to our Torah. Why is this the only one that's in Aramaic, excuse me, right? Why is this in Aramaic? The rest of the God is in Hebrew. Why is this paragraph in Aramaic? You'd be like, no, it's a much better question. Why is this called halachmania? Why is it called poor man's bread? We were the wealthiest when we left Egypt. We had all the people's stuff, the jewelry that we took during Choshech. We were like freed rich people. We weren't eating poor people's bread. Kids were excited. Matzah! Whoa, with the taste of freedom. This is great. We're rich. We're going out of here. We can't wait. See you later, Egyptians. And everybody was giving them a parade. Get out of here. Go. Paro himself was escorting them out, making sure they left, right? So that wasn't halachmania. When was it poor man's bread? It was poor man's bread during the 200 and plus years that they were slaves in Egypt. That's what they gave them. And I'll tell you something crazy. Raise your hand right here if you've heard of the Ibn Ezra. Have you heard of Ibn Ezra? Ibn Ezra, famous Rishon on Chumash, okay? Ibn Ezra, most people don't realize this, wasn't just a person that wrote commentary on the Torah. He wrote astronomy books, which are still studied today in every university. They study his astronomy books. He was also had a horrible, tragic lifetime. He lost all 8 of his children during his lifetime, and he lost his wife during his lifetime young, and he couldn't make a living. He had a famous joke that he said. You don't usually hear jokes by Rishonim. He said, if I became a candle maker, God would have the sun shine 24 hours a day. True joke by the Ibn Ezra, okay? He traveled in his lifetime to try to make a living, which he was never able to do, all the way from England down to India. While he was in India, he was jailed. Anybody, bonus question here, guess what they fed him in jail in India? Come on. Who's got this? Who's going to turn off the mic first?
Matzah.
Matzah, very good. Excellent. Very good. I thought somebody might say Korban Pesach. No. Vanessa's got it, right? It was matzah they ate, okay? Because in jail, they serve you matzah. Why do they serve you matzah? Very little effort to make matzah, right? You don't have to wait for the bread to rise. High in carbs. That's why we don't eat matzah throughout the whole year, right? And it fills you up very simply. So they used to give it to them. Now imagine this. Why do we say we start off the Seder, halach mani? Why do we hold up matzah? We should hold up the kos yayin, right? This is our wine that we're celebrating with. Hold up the maror. This is our maror. Matzah comes to symbolize. This is where you want to take notes right here. You ready? Matzah comes to symbolize both our slavery and our freedom. When they got matzah during the 200 somewhat years that they were slaves, right? What did everybody say? Oh, matzah is just gross, right? But then when they left Egypt and the kids said, Mom, I'm hungry. Where are we going? We're walking so far. Like, oh, have some matzah. The kids didn't complain at that point because it was matzah freedom. So through the matzah, we see what Bnei Yisrael transitioned from their points of slaves to their points of freedom. And that point, that's the celebratory part. So we look at it and we say, halach mania, this is the matzah. This is what the whole Seder is all about, transitioning from poor people that were slaves to free people who now eat with happiness. Everybody got it? Beautiful Dvar Torah. That's a much better Dvar Torah than trying to explain why halach mania is written in Aramaic. Nothing wrong with that Dvar Torah, but this is much better. Okay, you ready? Let's go on. Okay, why do we start? It says mitchila. The Mishnah says you have to start with something bad about Bnei Yisrael, right? So what do we start with bad mitchila? We start with something of gnut, of gnus, of something of derogatory. Why do we start with the fact Avram Avinu was great, Terach, his father, not the best guy. He was an Oved Avodah Zarah, and that's who we stem from. We stem from a guy that used to worship idols. Why start there? What does that have to do with Pesach? Who's got this? Come on, one of you. We need more participation here. What?
I mean, isn't it obvious? We started from nothing and we kind of worked our way up.
What do you mean by, well, you got to define a little more about nothing means. What do you mean nothing?
In Egypt, we were like the lowest of the low, and we went to such high heights and everything like that. So too with Terach, we were, Oved Avodah Zarah, it was horrible, and then we had Avraham, who was like highest of all kind of mortals kind of thing.
Okay, great. What made Avram so special?
Self-initiative.
Oh, excellent. Unlike everybody else, Avram wasn't walking in the field one day and all of a sudden God said, hey, Avram, oh, what's that? Oh, there's a God. How did Avram come to his relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu? How did he do it?
He went out and he contemplated life himself. He
figured it out, right? He stood out there and he said, it doesn't make any sense. My father is building idols. I see it. It's in the back room. We build this little doll. 3 days later, we bring this thing out, and now we're bowing down to this thing as if this thing created the world. I created it. How could he have created the world? This doesn't make any sense. And he started 37 years. He's going in his mind trying to figure this out. And finally, he figured out, came to the conclusion there was a Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's our journey. That's the Jewish people's journey. That's all of our journeys. We went from people who who were idol worshippers. We know anything about God. We know anything about the world. God bless you, Chani. Right? We didn't know anything about anything. Right? We knew nothing. And then all of a sudden, what happens? Right? We start figuring out life. We figure out there's a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Right? We get down to Mitzrayim, same thing. We lose our relationship with Kadosh Baruch Hu, and then v'nitzak el Hashem. We call back to Hashem. We start to figure it out again. That's the Jewish people's journey. Sometimes we stray. Sometimes we go from far away, and then we draw close. Beautiful Dvar Torah here. We get to Mitchila. Say, why are we bringing up Terach? Terach has nothing to do with Mitzrayim. Zero, nothing to do with Mitzrayim. What's the answer here? Right? Why do we have this? Because we're talking about the Jewish people's journey. We go from having a distance from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, where we don't have anything to do with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and then we figure it out. No one came to the Jewish people and said, "Hey, you have HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He can free you here." Right? We figured it out finally. Avraham Avinu figured it out. He's our example par excellence of figuring out the relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Everybody got it? Good? Okay. Let's go on to the next thing. Okay. What's the worst thing an author can do? The very worst thing an author can do of a book. What do you never want to do if you're an author? I'm an author of 3 books. I got them right here next to me. Okay? Yeah, see, I'll turn my camera. There you go. 3 books that I wrote, right? But I used to appreciate authors and think they were really good until I wrote. Then I realized it's pretty simple. You just write a lot of words, send it into somebody, they put it into a book, right? But what's the worst thing you can do? Make sure no one will ever read your books again. What do? Anybody? I really hate talking to myself. There's got to be more participation here. I'm going to make everybody turn off their mics in a second.
Really boring.
What?
If you give away, if you make the climax the best part of the plot at the very beginning, no one will read it.
That's true. Yeah, right. It's true if you give away. Although you should know, I'm writing a book right now where I give away the ending in the very beginning and work backwards. So I really hope you're wrong there, Nancy. But I am doing that. Okay. The end of the book is the introduction, and then we work our way backwards and then go back so you understand the beginning. So I don't really give it away. But in any case, there's even something worse you could do than that. Anybody want to figure this out? I'll make a shot call, and then somebody better say the answer.
Someone said boring.
What'd you say, Garcia? I'm sorry?
Someone said make it boring.
Make it boring. That would for sure work as a way to take your book, for sure. Make a prediction. If you predict something, unless you nail that prediction, if you get that wrong, every single person will say, "Oh, the author was wrong. Don't read the rest of what they say." What? Okay. Right? Make a prediction. The author of the Haggadah makes a prediction. He says, "V'isha amda, la'alseinu malanu." Right? Shebachol dor v'dor, omdim aleinu l'chalseinu. In every generation, they stand up to wipe us out, meaning the Gentiles stand up to wipe us out. All it would take is one generation. The Baal Haggadah wrote this in the year 1000. We know we're Jews. If there was one period of calm, what would every single Dvar Torah be? Why are you reading this? From the year 1620 to 1660, it was great for the Jewish people. No one tried. The Baal Haggadah doesn't know what he's talking about. We had 40 years of freedom. But he was right. It never happened. There's never been a generation. Today, I'm looking at my window here. There's a town of 23,000 people. Thank God, 21,000 of them are great, don't do anything to us. 2,000 of them are thinking right now how to kill me, right? That's my neighbors, okay? That's the world we live in today, right? They're not just criminals. They're actively thinking, how do we wipe out that guy's town, right? So that's, right? Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but that's what they're doing, right? So my town has a great mayor. She protects all of us. I'm not worried, right? And we have Kadosh Baruch Hu on top of her, so everything's well, okay? But, right? So that's what we're up against. Every generation, they try to wipe us out. How did he know? How did the Baal Haggadah know? Serena, you have an answer there. I can see it. What do you think? No answer? Okay. Who else has got an answer? No one's got. How do you know? How do you know there wasn't going to be one generation? Says the Abu Draham. This is when you want to write the answer down. First of all, if you could just say Abu Draham, your parents will be impressed. They'll be like, you just made up that guy's name. Be like, no, he's a real Rishon, Abu Draham. Ask him, call up Rabbi Lairfield and all the other rabbis in Memphis, and you'll see, right? He's really a person, Abu Draham. Listen to what he says. Because Baruch Hu wants to show us in every single generation that he's going to protect us. Only one way that can happen is if somebody comes to attack us. So every generation is someone that comes to attack us, and yet the Jewish people live on. Mark Twain said it himself. He said, right? Everybody knows this quote. You should know this. If not, it's a great quote for your yearbook. Okay, so what does Mark Twain say? Right? He says that if you look every other people, where are the Romans? Where are the Greeks? Right? Where are all these people? Where are the Persians? They're gone. Who are the only ancient people that are still left? The Jewish people. Mark Twain left out one thing. He left out a Kadosh Baruch Hu, right? But it's a Kadosh Baruch Hu that's kept us going. So we know this because in every generation, says the Abu Dram, the Baal HaGadah, the author of the Haggadah, knew that this would happen. So he wrote it down. He said, I know that this is going to happen. This is what's going to happen every generation. Someone's going to try to knock us out. The Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to save us. Okay? Good? Okay. You guys, if you know who I am, you know I do a lot of political work. Okay? I'll tell you the strangest thing I saw this year. This is leading into a Dvar Torah. Okay? Here we go. You ready? This is going to be on Yaakov Avinu when he meets Paro. And he tells Paro, I didn't come down here to live here. Okay? Right? 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 He says, I'm here only for temporary. Okay? I paid a shiva call to Ambassador David Friedman. He's the American ambassador to Israel this year. I saw the weirdest thing in the world. I'm sitting there. He's a regular shiva house. Doesn't look any different than a regular shiva house. Ambassador Friedman's there sitting shiva. And then diplomats, other ambassadors start coming in. And they walk in and they go to Ambassador Friedman's his assistant, who's a good friend of mine. He's a rabbi. And he goes, hands him his card. He takes the card. He stands, his assistant, 5 feet away from David Friedman, from the ambassador, holds the card. The diplomat that's visiting, the ambassador that's visiting David Friedman paying a shiva call, stands 2 feet behind his assistant. So they're in like a line like this. I'm watching this. This is the strangest show I've ever seen. Stands with his card and he says, Mr. Ambassador, His Excellency, the ambassador from Austria, Mr. Martin Weiss. And then he steps aside. And then Ambassador Weiss steps forward, okay? And this is a real thing. I'm friends with all these people. Everybody in the story I know personally. And then he says, I'm so sorry, I wish you might, right? Because diplomats have a very special way that they have to talk. It's the rules. You cannot break what's called protocol. You break protocol, it's the equivalent of spitting in someone's face. 2 world leaders get together. They literally have X's on the floor made out of tape where they have to stand. And it has their name so they know where to stand. They're standing not 2 meters away because of social distancing. That's protocol. That's what they have to do, okay? Yaakov comes down and meets Paro for the first time. Every rule is broken. How does this conversation go? These aren't even midrashim. These are straight psukim. Paro looks at Yaakov and he says, my God, you're old. Could you imagine a greater insult? You look so old. And Yaakov answers him, I'm not as old as my fathers were. Okay? Weird. Then Yaakov makes it even more awkward. Okay? Maybe Paro's a strange guy. We know. He enslaves people. Weird guy, right? Okay, so we know Paro's got problems, right? But Yaakov Avinu is Yaakov Avinu. So how should Yaakov answer him? Thank you so much for hosting me. Thank you for taking care of my son. I thought my son was dead. You took care of him, made him a great person. Thank you for bringing my whole family down. That's not what Yaakov says to him. He says, hey, just want to tell you, I'm only here temporarily. This is not going to be my home. My home's up there in Eretz Yisrael. I'm only here for a little while. Could you show any more lack of gratitude than that? Could you be any ruder if you're Yaakov? Why is Yaakov saying this? Everybody sees this question here? I like interaction here. You guys got to give me like a little, yeah, wow, that's a great question. Wow, it's amazing. What a question. Holy cow. I've never even thought of it that way. I learned that I was a little kid. I never saw that, right? Okay, these are straight sukkim. So why is Yaakov saying this? Why is Yaakov telling this, right? And the answer is very simple. You're in Memphis. I'm in Eretz Yisrael. Which one of us is home? Right? I am. I'm home. This is home. Now, I live in Chutz La'aretz. Everybody lives in Chutz La'aretz. We've had thousands of years of living in Chutz La'aretz. It's a reality. That's the reality. And people who live in Chutz La'aretz have a very good reason. But it's not home. It's never going to be home. Yaakov's not talking to Paro when he says, listen, I'm only here temporarily. Who's he talking to? He's talking to all of us, right? He's talking to his children. He knows these words are going to get recorded. He knows this is going to go down. He says, listen, I'm the first one to come down to Chutz La'aretz. We're going to be here for a little while. I recognize this, right? I don't want people to think we'll always follow the avos, right? I don't want people to think that this is where we should be, right? That we should not be in Mitzrayim. We should not be in Chutz La'aretz. We have to be in Eretz Yisrael. That's where home is. So Yaakov tells Paro, I am not at home. This is not where I'm supposed to be. Okay? Everybody got it? Good. I hope you're writing this stuff down. This stuff's gold. I'm giving you my gold stuff here. Okay, here we go. Let's go. How much time we have? We have like 15 minutes. Let's go to Let's see here. Okay, I got a good one for you. Let's go to some of the makos. You guys want to learn about some of the makos? This is good because you finished strong now. Yeah, so good Divrei Torah in the beginning, good Divrei Torah in the middle. You finished strong. Your parents remember, well, even at the end of the Seder, our daughter knew what she was talking about. This is great stuff. She paid attention the entire class. Okay, you ready? Okay, so here we go. Dam. Dam's a weird makkah. Everything turns to blood, right? So what's going on with Dam? The chizkuni. Raise your hand if you've heard of the chizkuni. You just heard of the chizkuni. Raise your hand anyway. Abby, you can raise your hand. It's okay. You just heard of the chizkuni. So now you can raise your hand and say, I've heard of the chizkuni. There you go, okay? The chizkuni's a rishon. Writes a lot on Rashi, okay? He says the most interesting thing in the world. Dam took 1 second. The whole makkah of Dam only lasted 1 second. Whatever happened in that makkah killed all the fish in 1 second. Today, we would say there was some toxin that went into the water that killed the fish, whatever it was. We don't know what it was, but that's what it would be, right? And he brings proofs to this. If you want to write down the proofs, because this will shock your parents. You'll be like, no, every makkah took 3 weeks. What are you talking about? It's a straight medrash. Everybody knows every makkah was 3 weeks, right? Come on. And your parents are going to be like, no, it's not true. Big, really? Answer these proofs of the chizkuni. Let's see, Mom, Dad. Let's see if you can do this. Okay, number 1. The Mitzrim never asked Moshe to switch the blood back. Every makkah, they say, please switch it back. Never happened with this one, okay? That's number 1. Number 2, it said the Chartumim did the same trick. Hold on a second. If all the water was blood, how could the Chartumim do the same trick? Right? Makes sense. Okay, got to get to the chizkuni on that one, right?
Buy water?
What?
Weren't they able to buy water?
From the Jews? Then it would have switched to blood. That was the whole point. Right?
I thought if they bought it for a fair cost.
That's the medrash trying to come up with an answer to answer the chizkuni. Right? Oh, okay. Can't knock down the chizkuni on this one, okay? So this is a great chizkuni to know, okay? Got it? Okay. So, right? Now there's a lot of answers. I got them all here. Maybe they dug fresh wells, maybe okay? But in any case, according to chizkuni, that the whole makkah took 1 second is amazing because it gives a whole new thing, okay? Now, if you thought that was amazing, I got an even better one than you, okay? Here we go. You ready for this one? I can almost guarantee, excluding Ari Gerson here, that nobody has heard this before. I say this in my Seder every year, and every year people go nuts on me. Like, you're wrong, Rabbi, it doesn't make any sense. No one says this, okay? It doesn't make any sense. Making this up. What?
Are you moving on from Dam already?
I'm going off of Dam. I'm going to the next one.
So how does he learn that they were weary digging by the river?
So yeah, see, that's one of my things to answer the chizkuni. I don't know. That's your homework, Rabbi.
Well, he doesn't explain it.
I don't have it down here that he explains it. I have as an answer to him. But yeah. Okay, you ready? Here we go. The next one, Svardeya. Someone tell me, what was the mark of Svardeya? Come on.
Frogs invade.
Frogs.
Frogs. There are frogs here, frogs there. Frogs are truly everywhere. Oh, no, right. Okay, so frogs, right? Frogs are everywhere. Get this. You're going to want to write this down. Okay, Natalie knows there's something amazing coming here, right? She's like, okay, if he got the Dam thing for 1 second, this is going to be crazy. The Ibn Ezra, back to our friend the Ibn Ezra, says there were no such things as frogs in Mitzrayim. And the truth is, go to Egypt, you're not going to find any frogs. Crocodiles.
Crocodiles.
Okay, crocodiles. Svardeya wasn't frogs, it was crocodiles. It's crazy. Can you imagine crocodiles everywhere? That makes so much more sense. Frogs are annoying, don't get me wrong, okay? But the truth is, when you heard the first time when you were a little kid and you heard there were frogs everywhere, you thought that was pretty cool because we like frogs, right? So you're like, that doesn't really sound like such a makkah, which is why I have to say they went into the bodies, they went into the ovens, then you're like, okay, I get it, why this isn't so good, right? But like frogs are pretty cute, right? Crocodiles, on the other hand, which are in the Nile, coming out of the Nile, that seems to be logical. Now, very few people agree, but I'll tell you somebody who does agree. I found this in a sefer. I happened to be reading and I saw this, and I flipped out. If you learn Mishnayot, you're going to learn Mishnayot with the parish of the Bartanura. The Bartanura is famous for his parish on on the Mishnayos. No, he did not make Bartanura wine, although I know you like drinking it, okay? That's not where he's famous from. He's famous from his commentary on the Mishnayos. But he also wrote a book on his trip from Italy where he lived when he made Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael. And he wrote this book. It's a book. He wrote a book about his trip. And he talks about getting to Egypt. And he talks about for the first time seeing real life Svardeya. And guess what he starts describing? Terrifying crocodiles that everybody stayed away from. How insane is that? Okay? Now, you tell your family that. Natalie, it was worth it, right? Okay? Tell your family that, and now you know they're going to freak out. They will spend a half an hour talking about, whoa, if it was crocodiles, that makes so much sense. They went to those houses, people go crazy, right? Crocodiles in your bed, that's terrifying, okay? That's what happens, okay? So that's a interesting commentary. Okay. Now,
why is it
let's
called
see.
Svardeya?
What?
Why is it called Svardeya if it's crocodiles?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so how are we going to answer this? Guess what? Guess what the word Svardeya means to the Ibn Ezra and the Bartanura? Crocodiles.
Crocodile.
It does not mean frogs, right? There you go. Totally crazy. That like knocks your world out of there. Takes everything that you have as
They
you
have
do
proof for that, or they're just saying it and they're like, okay, everyone
What?
agrees with that. Do they have proof to back that up?
Proof to back it up? Are you kidding? Go to Egypt. Go up and down the Nile. Find me one frog. You're not gonna find a frog there.
It was a miracle. It was
What?
a miracle that God sent the plague as a miracle.
Hold on a second. Okay, yeah,
That's-
get it.
that's
But
not-
he
yeah.
could have also had a whale show up out of the Nile, right? But what's a scary plague? A scary plague is crocodiles.
Or it could be this disgusting creature that they'd never seen before.
Could have
They
also
have
been
seen
this little tiny
frogs though.
disgusting creature.
They had so many frogs. They used to call them like some word for like 100,000. They had frogs. They used to worship them. It was like a fertility sign.
Oh, I don't know. Is that true?
That's what it said on all the sources that I've been reading in the past 5 minutes.
Okay, Hannah, I want you to send that to me. I want to see those, okay? But
Okay.
in either case, do you guys see what just happened here? Everybody was so offended by the idea of crocodiles. Like, no, it's frogs! I learned it's frogs. That's what you could have at your Seder. All you gotta do is be insistent for like 30 seconds that it was crocodiles, and your whole family would be up in arms, and they'd be like either very proud of you that you knew this, or very upset at you that you're being taught craziness in your school. And then you could just say it was a guest speaker. He doesn't really teach there. It's fine. Okay, you ready? Good? Okay. Now, let's go on. You ready? I'll tell you something that I learned this year that I thought was incredible. New Medrash. Okay, we're doing well on time. New Medrash here. Okay, this is like this is amazing. Okay, comes Barad, right? Barad knocks down all the trees. Okay, after Barad comes locusts, right? The locusts come in. Okay, so says the Medrash, why did Kadosh Baruch Hu send locusts after knocking down the trees in Barad? Why did he do that? Right? So he says like this, the Egyptians walked out. Okay, tell me this doesn't resonate this week with us. Okay, the Egyptians walked out of their house, all the trees are down. And you know what they said? That's pretty bad. Silver lining, we don't have to climb the trees to harvest the fruits this year. They're all on the ground. Hey, thank you, God. Made life worse next year, because I got to replant all the trees, but much easier this year. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, no. There's no silver lining to these plagues. There's nothing good happening out of this. Watch what I'm going to do next. So comes the locust, and they eat all of the produce. So now there's nothing for them to harvest. Okay? Very nice. You see like the transition from one plague to another in that one. Okay? I know it's not as crazy as Svardeya being crocodiles, but like we're only going to have one or two of those crazy things. Okay? So that's the that idea. Okay. Let me end with one more.
What's the tie into this year?
What?
What was the tie into this year?
Everybody's looking at the silver lining of the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's not so bad. I have to leave my house. It's okay. Yeah, there's no silver linings with my gay folks. That's not how this works.
Because Zoom came along and we still have school.
Then we find out that
No
Nazis
silver
can get
lining.
into Zoom. And then we find out that, right, we got to find out all these things. Zoom's recording all our conversations, right? And Zoom's going to start trailing us and sell our stuff, all the stuff that we want to mention. Couches. If everybody right now says couches, almost guaranteed you're going to start seeing on your social media advertisements for couches. Okay, that's how this stuff works, right? You thought Zoom was like, wow, they're doing this for free. Such sadiq in Zoom. Okay, now, here we go. You ready? Moving on. Ramban. I can't remember if it's Parak Aleph Pasuk Hey or Parak Aleph Pasuk Ches, but it's Hava Nischak Malo, right? In the Haggadah it says that the Egyptians wanted to do bad to us and they thought it out. Listen to this. This will really change your whole perspective on Paro. This Ramban, okay? This is one of those life-changing Rambans that will totally throw you. You talk about this now. It's a line in the Haggadah. Hava Nischak Malo quotes the Pasuk, okay? This is where you want to mention this. This is really this good, okay? Paro is worried about one thing. He's worried that an army is going to attack Egypt from the outside. Another country is going to attack. Paro will be able to defend against them. He's a world power, no problem. But if there's a growing multitude of foreigners in his own country, a loud minority who joins up at the outside, okay, with the outside attackers, then Paro doesn't know if he can really defend against the attack, and he might lose his rule over his control and rule over Egypt. So he's nervous now. Okay, he's looking at this growing group of Jews who are multiplying faster than rabbits, and he's looking at them and he's saying these could be a threat. We've got to wipe them out. Classic fascist leader. We got to wipe them out. Okay, it's the only way we could do this. We have to kill them all. But he realizes the Egyptians are civilized people. They are not going to go for this. Kill the Jews. These are the descendants of Yosef. Yosef saved us. He saved us. How could we have, right? How could we kill his descendants? We're not like this. We're not immoral people. And they would rebel against Paro. He realizes he can't do this. So he's got to set up a way that the Egyptians start looking at the Jews as lesser people. So this is what he does, and this is perfectly acceptable behavior. Shlomo HaMelech did this. They take the foreigners and they say, you have to 1 month out of the year, we'll pay you, but 1 month out of the year, you have to work for the government. We're going to build cities. We have this large infrastructure project. We're going to have you build them. Okay, great. 1 month out of the year, every Jew's got to close down his business, and he goes and he's paid anyway. Okay, certain point, Paro says, we're not paying you anymore. Then Paro goes to the next level. It's not 1 month now, it's 12 months. And you're not getting paid. You're a foreigner in our country, you're a slave. Okay, now everybody starts looking at this and saying, oh, the Jews are different. I'm an Egyptian, I don't have to do that work. That's a Jew, he's got to do that work. Next level, takes the Jewish midwives. And he says if a Jewish boy is born, kill it. Okay, next level, all midwives. Until finally he's got the Egyptian people in the palm of his hand, and he tells them, go hunt the boys. Find them wherever they are and kill them. And every Egyptian finds that acceptable. Okay, Shana, give me 1 second, okay? Right, every Egyptian finds this acceptable. The Jews look at lesser people. If you go through this Ramban, and I heavily suggest you do, go on Safaria, it's in English there, okay? Beginning of Shmos. Chart out the Ramban on one side of a chart. And the other side of the chart, watch what Hitler did in Germany. It is scary how they all line up almost exactly. That Hitler wanted everybody to understand that the Jews were less, right? That the Nazis were Übermenschen, okay? And the Jews were not even mentioned. They were vermin. Paro does the same thing in order to make sure that he can kill out the Jews. The Germans in 1930 would never have let a leader get up and wipe out the Jews. Okay, this is what he does. Okay, this is the scary part of Hava Nischak Malo. Think it through, Paro says. Let's figure this out. How can we really do bad to the Jews? We've got to think it through how to make sure we can get this done without facing an inner rebellion from our own people. And the end, Paro gets his way. And for 200 plus years, the Egyptians will discriminate and do horrible, horrible, sadistic things to the Jews because they thought they were less than people. Shana, you had a question?
It was just a comment. So before, when you were talking about the Jews being, the Egyptians being righteous people and Paro not, it's actually the opposite. We learned in Chumash that Paro was the only, I mean, it was Paro from before, but I don't, Paro for Avraham, so it might have changed over time. That could be your answer. I don't know. But for the issue when Avraham went down to Egypt with Sarah and Paro took Sarah, after Hashem spoke to Paro and whatever you think happened there, like all the Meforshim, Paro not only gave Sarah back, but he also had guards escort them out of Egypt in order to protect the immoral, protect them from the immoral Egyptians.
Right.
So
Yeah, so it's good. So I think it's definitely different parols is point number one. Point number two, it's different types of immorality that we're dealing with there, right? Right. And so on one side, we're talking about a genocidal type of approach. The other side, we're talking about sexual immorality. Two totally separate, separate forms of immorality there, right? Here, paro's trying to get the people to commit genocide, right? To get people to commit genocide, you're taking them a far journey, okay? Okay.
Are they really so different though? Because like, I mean, it all stems from like denying another person's like humanity, you know?
You're saying, yes, it's true. There is any form of immoral actions towards another person is going to have something in common, right? No matter what in order to get there, you've got to ignore the fact that this person is similar to you, right? But there's also differences. 100%. Your point taken for sure. Okay.
Hey, Rabbi, thank you very much for volunteering to give the class. I'm going to do Torah for Pesach. I was taking notes. I could see a lot of people were very involved, very impressed. And Yashkosh, you have a Chag Kosher. Thank you very much.
This year. That's a math. Very important this year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys. Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Okay. Bye-bye.